Alright guys, so a few things, little tips for when you pull up is to know your surrounds. So basically your van running off grid is going to be powered through the solar. So if you pull up, you get that money shot of looking at the beach or the river, but you're parked under a tree, well, it's no good for your charging your battery, so it's not going to be too long and you're going to run flat. So make sure when you pull up, you check your surrounds. If you've got kids, nice level ground, make sure no potholes around. You get in position. From there, we basically can chock the wheels up and then look to unhitch. Alright guys, so we've got our perfect spot now and we're happy to set up. We've chocked the wheels. First things first, we're going to pull up the handbrake and we're going to start detaching from the car. So we've got our chains. You'll notice that they are crossed over. That's due to if something happens with the coupling and this was to come loose, the chains act as a cradle and as a safety so that they would catch before, so this doesn't nosedive to the ground. So we'll unhook those chains. And we like to place them up on these links so they're not dragging on the ground. After that, you'll see we've got our breakaway. We've got that attached separate from the D-shackles on a little carabiner. Now the reason we have this separate is so it's got a clear path that if something was to go wrong, when this comes into play, it's got a direct pull. If we're linking it through the chains or it's attached to the chains and the chain's not attached properly, this isn't going to do anything for you. So making sure that's got a direct link and is attached to something separate. We're then going to pull the brake plug out. Now you'll notice the pins on the brake plug. If you ever find that after a while of this going in and out of the brake plug, you may have left it on the ground or they're getting squashed. As these pins push together, that can allow certain, like your lights and that, not to work. So they just need to be spread apart and that could solve the issue you're having for, say, an indicator not working. Make sure you do place them up out of the way. Removing the Anderson plug. Commonly asked question, can I plug my portable solar panels into the front Anderson? No, this is for the car feed only. The solar panels read at a different voltage than what this Anderson is looking for the input on the DC-DC. That's why you have a separate Anderson plug at the rear of the van for the solar. Now we're up to releasing the coupling, pushing down, releasing back, and then we move on to the jockey wheel. Alright, so now we're time to drop the jockey wheel down so we can get the caravan off the car. A couple of things for tips with this jockey wheel. It is telescopic and it does have a few locking points for different heights of the wheel. So what we can do is, we've got it at the furthest point back, allowing us for a bigger turning circle. You'll notice if we do have this right forward, if you do have a tight turn when you're backing it up, you do run the risk of damaging your jockey wheel. So what we like to do is have it as far back from the car as possible, allowing you a bigger turning circle. You'll notice as well as we do have the jockey wheel locked in. We've got the pin through one of the holes here, so the jockey wheel is not swiveling around. Travelling with the jockey wheel facing down is fine on road, but if you're looking to go on those off-road conditions, you're better off getting that into a different position so that you've got more clearance. So they simply just lock in by putting your handle on and adjusting out to another height. You'll notice here when it's not locked in, swinging around. So we definitely want it locked in. Allowing for more ground clearance. So now we can position the jockey wheel to remove. We pull our handle. Into position, we're chocked up, handbrakes on, and we can start to unhitch. Once we've unhitched, if you are on a concrete pad or you are somewhere where you can actually push the van, Do realise that there is a maximum height for pushing the vans around. So if you do have that above, you risk damaging your jockey wheel, having it bent. So in time it's going to be a lot harder to manoeuvre around. So you're better off moving your car out, winding your jockey wheel down to get your van nice and level. Alright, so now that we've unhitched, don't forget to pack your jockey wheel handle away. Generally people put it in this front toolbox. Now when you shut these toolboxes, be mindful of the rubber seal. Make sure it does lip over the edges here. If it doesn't, you run the risk of damaging the seal, and it's the spot for water to leak. Once water gets inside, the condensation in there will build up and you'll have a huge box full of water. Other things to keep an eye on for the toolboxes are adjusting your latches to make sure they are pulling down nice and tight on the seals. You don't want them over tightened so that it's continuously squashing the seal and damaging it. You just want it so that you can see it's all engaged, rubber seals over top of the latch, and you won't have any issues with that.